attending and staying if you were here for the treasurer's race. I'm Sue Whitworth, president of the League of Women Voters of the Elgin area. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political party full of volunteers, and we're all volunteers here tonight supporting the process. We're partnering with the Gale Board Public Library. The video of this will be available on our website soon, probably next week, at lwvelginarea.org. So look for that. We have other information on there as well. There'll be links to candidate information. And tonight's forum, this is the primary season. So we did invite Republicans and Democrats running. The incumbent sheriff is not running for re-election. However, we missed getting responses from the Republican candidates, so we're proceeding tonight with the Democratic candidates. There will be another forum in early February, I believe the 5th, from our Central Kane County League of Women Voters in Batavia, so you can watch for that publication too. There'll be another forum there, and 2 different nights. They're covering some different races, some of the local Kane County Board districts as well, if that interests any of you. So, and with that being said, we have Barb Layman's here from our Wheaton League that's going to be moderating for us tonight. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Sue. And welcome to the Democrat Candidate Forum for Kane County Sheriff. My name is Barb Layman's, as Sue said. I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Wheaton and your moderator for this evening. I live in DuPage County, so I will not be voting for any of the candidates participating in the forum this evening. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties for any office. The League is not affiliated with any political party. The League's purpose is to promote civic responsibility through the informed and active participation of citizens in government and civic discourse. Providing opportunities to meet candidates is a major mission of the League of Women Voters, so voters can become better informed about the issues facing their community and to become better acquainted with the candidates running for office. Participating in tonight's Democrat Candidate Forum for the Kane County Sheriff are candidate Amy Johnson and candidate Salvador Rodriguez. The format tonight is a forum and not a debate. Candidates are expected to accurately represent the facts, and their responses reflect their own views and opinions. The League of Women Voters is not responsible for the accuracy of statements made by the candidates. It is the responsibility of the public, news media, opposing candidates to fact-check statements made by candidates if necessary. The candidates have agreed to abide by the rules set forth prior to this forum. All candidates attending tonight have signed and returned the ground rules by the deadline established. These rules specify the format, time limits, broadcasting of the forum, and other rules related to the conduct of the forum. The candidates will begin in alphabetical order with a 2-minute opening statement. They will then alternate the order in which they answer questions for 1 minute. After the question portion of the forum, each candidate will give a 1-minute closing statement, continuing with our alternating pattern. As a member of the League, will act as timekeeper, and I will enforce the time limits. Candidates, you will see a paddle and you will know when you have 1 minute, 30 seconds, then 15 seconds, and then stop. Should a candidate exceed the time limit, I will ask them to finish their sentence and move on to the next candidate. To ensure the questions for tonight's forum represents a balance of topics, a panel of experienced members of the League of Women Voters has reviewed the questions submitted for appropriateness and to avoid duplication. Finally, I do want to say how appreciative we all are of your candidates who are not only willing to run for office, but to be here tonight to share your goals and ideas. So let's begin. Candidate Johnson, you have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Good evening. Thank you very much for allowing me to be here. My name is Amy Johnson and I'm running for sheriff. I spent my entire career serving the people of Kane County. I began at the sheriff's office at the ground level and worked my way through this organization. Today I serve as your under sheriff, overseeing law enforcement, court services, and corrections. I'm running for sheriff because I believe experience, integrity, and steady leadership matter. Public safety isn't about slogans or sound bites. It's about showing up every day, making informed decisions and holding ourselves to the same standards we ask of the people we serve. I spent more than 2 decades doing exactly that, making budgets, leading through crisis, supporting our deputies and staff, and working alongside our community partners to keep Kane County safe. My approach to public safety is balanced and practical. Enforcement matters. Violent crime, repeat offenders, and victims deserve accountability. But real safety also means prevention, strong partnerships, and trust. When people trust the sheriff's office, they call for help, cooperate with investigations, and work with us to solve problems before they escalate. That trust is built through consistency, transparency, and fairness. It means clear policies, strong training and de-escalation, and communication and accountability that's applied evenly every time. It also means managing our jail safety and humanely protecting staff and detainees while being responsible with taxpayer dollars in tight budget times. Kane County is diverse, growing, and changing. The next sheriff must understand every part of this office and every part of this community. I'm running to bring steady leadership, proven experience, and a clear, focused vision on safety with dignity and accountability. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Rodriguez, your 2-minute opening statement.
I'm Salvador Rodriguez. I'm running for Kane County Sheriff because Kane County deserves proven leadership, good and real community involvement. I bring nearly 30 years of proven leadership and experience, including nearly 10 years in supervisory leadership. Throughout my law enforcement career, I have held numerous roles, including community-oriented policing deputy, field training officer, K-9 handler, detective, promoted to sergeant of internal affairs, patrol sergeant across all patrol shifts. I also served as Special Services Unit Sergeant, and I was the creator and administrator for the Exploring the Cadet programs, and ultimately promoted to lieutenant. I am a proud product of Kane County Public Schools, and I earned both my bachelor's and my master's degrees from Aurora University here in Kane County, where I also previously served as adjunct professor. I'm a proud member of the Rotary Club of Aurora United, Kane County Democratic Women Organization, Belgian Hispanic Network, and the Illinois Tejano organization. I also volunteer with the Marie Wilkinson Food Pantry, serve as a volunteer marshal for week and lead change rallies, and volunteer and donate to other organizations, including the Boys and Girls Club of North Central Illinois and Scouting America's 3 Fires Council. I'm a lifelong Democrat with a proven voting record that reflects and supports my values. I am currently a member of the Western Dems with Heidi and Democrat Precinct Committeeman. I will bring transparency and fiscal responsibility leadership to the Sheriff's Office, principles that have been lacking and have plagued the office for too many years. As an elected official, I will be a responsible steward of the Sheriff's Office, ensuring accountability, integrity, and wise use of resources. The Sheriff's Office will comply with all state and local laws under my watch.
Thank you. Candidate Rodriguez, we'll begin the first question with you. How would you ensure that all divisions of the Sheriff's Office, law enforcement, court services, and corrections, run effectively and transparently? You have 1 minute. Candidate Rodriguez.
First, all divisions must be fully staffed, no exceptions. From there, I would ensure each division operates effectively and transparently by setting clear expectations, applying policies consistently, and holding everyone, regardless of rank, accountable. With my experience working in and supervising multiple divisions, I understand how leadership divisions directly impact day-to-day operations. As sheriff, I will be visible and engaged in each division, promote open communication, and ensure employees have the staffing, the training, the resources they need to succeed. Transparency will be strengthened through consistent reporting, community oversight, and clear disciplinary process so nothing is hidden or handled unfairly. When leadership is present, fair, and accountable, every division functions better and earns the trust of both employees and the community.
Thank you. Candidate Johnson.
Thank Thank you, great question. From my experience as undersheriff and candidate for sheriff, I know an office runs best when leadership is present, informed, and consistent. I've overseen law enforcement, court services, and corrections, and while each division has a different style and a different role, they're deeply connected. Decisions in one area affect the others every single day. Arrests impact the jail, court schedules affect staffing and transports, and correction policies affect safety. Running all three effectively means seeing the whole system, not just one piece of it. Day-to-day, that requires regular communication with command staff, reviewing operations across divisions, and addressing issues early, before they affect safety, morale, or public trust. It also means making sure our deputies and staff are trained, supported, and clear in expectations. Consistency matters. Policies, training, and accountability have to be applied the same way across all three divisions. Good leadership is also fiscally responsible, planning, staffing, training, and resources wisely so we can protect public safety without wasting taxpayer dollars.
Thank you. Candidate Johnson, the next question will begin with you. What strategies do you believe are most effective for reducing crime in Kane County?
Reducing crime in Kane County means being proactive, practical, and focused on what actually works. Data matters. Using crime trends and calls for service helps us focus on where crime is happening, especially property crimes, and theft, vandalism, but that's just not one key issue, that's many. Strong community policing is also essential. When deputies know the neighborhoods they serve and residents trust law enforcement, crimes get reported. Investigations are stronger and people feel safe. The trust is a critical part of public safety. Prevention plays a real role as well. Youth programs, mental health services, and addiction treatment help address the issues that often lead people into the justice system in the first place. Supporting those efforts in both public safety and responsible use of taxpayer dollars is smart. We also have to keep victims in the center of our work. Expanding victim assistance and trauma-informed support helps people recover and reduce repeat victimization with our social workers. That strengthens our systems. Finally, public safety works best when we work together, partnering with schools, nonprofits, and neighboring agencies to address gangs, drugs, and violence countywide.
Candidate Rodriguez, the same question.
The most effective strategy for reducing crime in Kane County starts with visibility, trust, and prevention. First, we must focus resources where the sheriff has primary responsibility, unincorporated Kane County. By increasing patrol visibility and reducing response times, a visible law enforcement presence deters crime and reassures our residents. Second, crime is reduced when there is strong trust between law enforcement and the community. Building relationships through consistent community engagements, partnership, and open communication helps prevent crime before it happens and encourages cooperation when issues arise. Third, we must address the root causes of crime, especially by investing in our youth, which I'm passionate about, mentorship and early intervention, particularly for those underserved and high-risk youth. Breaking the cycle of incarceration makes communities safer in the long run. Finally, effective crime reduction requires well-trained, supported, and accountable officers.
Thank you. Candidate Rodriguez, we're going to do the next question now with you two. How would you work to build and keep trust between the Sheriff's Office and the diverse communities of Kane County?
Trust is built through presence, transparency, and accountability. I will build and maintain trust by being visible and engaged in all communities across Kane County, listening to residents, making sure the Sheriff's Office reflects the community it serves. I believe in consistent and fair accountability. The same rules apply to everyone, regardless of rank. Transparency in decision-making and discipline is essential for public confidence. I also will prioritize community partnership, absolutely. Regular forums, open dialogue so residents have a voice in public safety. When people see law enforcement working alongside them, not just responding to calls, trust grows. Finally, I'll focus on recruiting from the community is very important because we best understand serve the community to have people from the community in uniform. Trust isn't built overnight, but through steady leadership and that shows up, listens, and follows through. I truly believe that.
Thank you. Candidate Juliet?
Trust is built through consistency, presence, and fairness over time, not through slogans or one-time efforts. In our county as diverse as Kane County, people need to know what to expect from their sheriff's office and trust what they are treated with dignity and respect every single time we show up. That starts with being clear about our role and our boundaries within our community, investing in strong training around communication and de-escalation, and applying accountability fairly and consistently across this organization. It also means working alongside social workers and mental health professionals so deputies have the right support when responding to people in crisis and situations where enforcement alone isn't the best solution. Trust also requires leadership that shows up, being present in our community, listening with local leaders, service providers, and organizations who understand their communities and their needs. Transparency is a critical part of trust. When policies are clear, decisions are explained, and challenges are acknowledged honestly, confidence grows. People don't expect perfection, but they do expect honesty and consistency.
Candidate Johnson, what are your priorities for managing the Kane County Jail safely, humanely, and cost-effectively?
Currently, in working this right now as the undersheriff, managing the Kane County Jail safely, humanely, and cost-effectively starts with understanding the fiscal responsibility and reality we're operating in. For this budget, fiscal year 2025, it's just over $416 million, which judicial and public safety functions among the largest expansive in the county. This has gone a decade without any tax increase, we understand that. That means we have to be disciplined, strategic, and accountable with every single dollar. My first priority is safety for staff, for those in custody, and for public. That requires clear policies, proper staffing, strong supervision, and operating with legally sound standards and reduced risk. Humane treatment is also essential and directly tied to cost control, maintaining sanitation, providing access to medical and mental health. We also have to leverage outside resources, maximizing grants and opioid settlement funds, and invest in technology and preventative maintenance to avoid bigger expenses down the road. We're looking at $75 cost per day.
Thank you. Candidate Rodriguez?
My priorities for managing the Kane County Jail are safety, humane treatment, fiscal responsibility. And those goals start with proper staffing and strong leadership. Right now, forced overtime and understaffing put stress on officers, increase risk, and drive up cost. I will focus on recruitment, retention, and smart scheduling so our facility is fully staffed and operating safely. A humane jail also requires professionalism, accountability, and access to mental health services and programming that reduce repeat incarceration. Treating people with dignity, improving safety inside the jail, and it makes our community safer and individuals return home. Finally, I will be fiscally responsible by cutting inefficiencies, reducing unnecessary overtime, and investing in programs that work. Supporting our corrections officers who do a mentally and physically demanding job is essential to running a safe, effective, and cost-efficient jail.
Thank you. Candidate Rodriguez, the next question is, how should the Sheriff's Office collaborate with mental health providers, social service agencies, and local governments?
The Sheriff's Office must collaborate closely with mental health providers, social service agencies, and local governments because public safety is a shared responsibility. That means coordinating crisis response, shared training, and clear communication so the right resources are used at the right time. These partnerships help divert people from jail when appropriate, support rehabilitation and reentry, and reduce repeat offenses. Strong collaboration leads to better outcomes, safer communities, and more effective use of taxpayers' dollars.
Thank you. Candidate Johnson?
In Kane County, we see every day how closely public safety and mental health are connected and intertwined. Collaboration is critical because nearly 7 to 10% of police interactions involve someone experiencing a mental health crisis. And 43% of people in state jails have a mental health illness that we're dealing with right now. A meaningful portion of our calls involve people in crisis, and far too often, the jail becomes the default response, with treatment would be more appropriate, and that's what we're working towards. That's not good for families, deputies, or taxpayers, and that's what we're aiming to change right now. As sheriff, I will prioritize strong partnerships with local mental health providers, hospitals, and social service agencies so we can divert people from jail into care when it's needed and safe, appropriate to do so. That means embedding mental health professionals alongside deputies, expanding mental health crisis, and crisis intervention teams. We have 2 social workers right now that are working around the clock, in which we need more. They should be 3 to 4. They have a caseload of 200. This approach improves safety, strengthens community trust, and allows deputies to focus on serious crimes because of Kane County.
Candidate Johnson, what policies or training would you prioritize regarding use of force and de-escalation?
Use of force is one of the most serious responsibilities in law enforcement, and my priority is ensuring it is always lawful, necessary, and limited as possible. That starts with clear, well-defined policies aligned with state law, constitutional standards, and best practices, and applied consistently across the entire sheriff's office. Training is critical. Ongoing training in de-escalation, communication, and decision-making stress gives deputies practical tools to slow situations down and resolve them safely. That directly affects deputies' safety on the road and in the jail, because better prepared our staff is, the fewer situations escalate into injuries. Accountability is just as important. Every use of force incident must be reviewed fairly and consistently to ensure compliance and to identify opportunities to improve training and supervision. Doing this right also protects taxpayers by reducing injuries, workers' compensation claims, and costly litigation. When deputies are well trained, well supervised, and supported by clear standards, use of force de-escalation are safer for the public.
Candidate Rodriguez?
I would prioritize clear, consistent use of force policies that are fully aligned with state law and rooted in accountability. De-escalation must always be the first option whenever possible. That means ongoing mandatory training focused on communication, crisis intervention, mental health awareness, and realistic scenario-based exercises that teach deputies how to slow the situation down and resolve them safely. I would also require regular review of use of force incidents, transparent reporting, and lessons learned from each encounter to continuously improve practices. This approach protects the public, supports our deputies, and reinforces the culture of professionalism, restraint, and trust. And I want to be transparent with the community.
Thank you. Candidate Rodriguez, how do you measure success in public safety beyond crime statistics?
Success in public safety goes far beyond crime statistics. It's measured by whether residents feel safe and trust the sheriff's office, whether deputies are visible, engaged, and doing better in serving the community, and whether concerns are addressed fairly and effectively. It also means fewer use of force incidents, faster response time in unincorporated Kane County, strong partnership with the community organizations, improved morale, retention within the department, and positive outcomes in corrections, including reduced recidivism. When the community and the sheriff's office work together with trust, transparency, and accountability, we prevent crime, we solve problems, and we make our neighborhoods stronger.
Candidate Johnson.
Crime numbers matter, but they don't tell the whole story. Real success in public safety is about trust, fairness, and quality of life. I measure success by whether people feel safe in their neighborhoods, whether they're confident calling the sheriff's office, and whether our interactions are professional, and respectful, and lawful. That means looking beyond the crime stats. We track times across Kane County by area and time of day, patterns and calls for service, community engagement, and how concerns or complaints are resolved clearly and transparently for our community. Those indicators tell us whether we're showing up consistently and doing our job the right way, or what we need to work on. We also measure what happens before crime occurs. Participation in prevention programs, mental health partnerships, and victim assistance matters, because reducing harm before it happens is real progress, not just reacting after the fact. Public safety isn't only about fewer crimes, it's about accountability, strong relationships, and a community that feels protected, respected, and heard.
Thank you. The next question is what challenges does the Sheriff's Office face in recruiting and keeping qualified staff? How would you address that? Candidate Johnson, we'll begin with you.
This is one of the biggest challenges facing law enforcement nationwide, and Kane County is no exception. Across the country, more than 70% of agencies report that recruiting is harder today than it was 5 years ago. Applicant pools have shrunk dramatically. Many agencies are operating below authorized standing and staffing levels, and resignations and retirements have increased. The reasons are clear: public perception and stress of the job, and competition from private sectors, careers that move flexibility and comparable pay. To address recruitment, we need to modernize how we attract candidates. That means stronger outreach digitally, partnerships with colleges and training programs, which we're already doing but moving forward with, and building youth and internship pipelines that introduce people to the profession early. We also need a hiring process that is efficient, transparent, and competitive so we don't lose good candidates early. Retention is just as important. People stay when they feel supported, trained, and treated fairly. That means clear career development paths, consistent supervision, investment in training, and meaningful wellness and mental health support.
Thank you. Candidate Rodriguez.
Sheriff's Office face serious challenges in recruiting and retaining qualified staff, especially in the Corrections Division, due to high rates of mandatory overtime, low morale, and a perception that employees are not always supported or treated fairly. Too often, these dedicated professionals feel overlooked, which leads to burnout and turnover. That will change under my leadership. I will fully staff our division to reduce forced overtime, rebuild morale through fair and consistent leadership, and ensure clear opportunities for advancement based on merit, not favoritism. I will actively recruit from our communities, invest in training and career development, and make sure our employees feel safe, valued, supported, and when people know that they are respected and have future in the organization, they stay. That's how we build a strong, professional Sheriff's Office.
Thank you. Candidate Rodriguez, considering current events in Kane County, how would you ensure citizens' Fourth Amendment rights are protected by your deputies? Training. We need to keep our deputies accountable. And as sheriff, I will make sure that everybody is accountable and laws are enforced and not violated. Candidate Johnson, considering current events in Kane County, how will you ensure citizens' Fourth Amendment rights are protected by your deputies?
Every time we have policy and procedures in place, we review those policies and procedures to make sure that those Fourth Amendment rights are never violated, we're still constitutionally aware, and again, training. So every single time that we come up against those issues, we want to make sure our deputies have the education that's needed in order to combat 100% those issues that you're seeing across the entire digital platform. 100% education, training, platforms, policies and procedures, and the auditing of just making sure our body cameras and those that don't go with the policies and procedures are in place. So that's one thing. Education, and again, we can go on and on with this, but education with what to do and what not to do is huge with us. We want to be professional in how we encounter, but we also want to be respectful too. So that goes with training, 100%.
Thank you. Candidate Johnson, if a new state or federal law were passed that you personally believed was unconstitutional, would you enforce it or direct your deputies to not enforce it?
If I believe it was unconstitutional, there's a reason why I also go with our state's attorney's office. So I already have clear, concise information with our state's attorney's office too in talking about those issues. If I believe it was unconstitutional or not, it's still a state law for that. in reference to it. That's why also for the state's attorney, I need to go and actually have those conversations of how can we build, how can we do this, how can we work together? If it's unconstitutional or against the law, where are we going with this? How can I get this out to the community? How can we go through with what is needed? And how can I make sure our community is involved as much as it could be? Again, in working in tandem, that's why these relationships are so crucial where we're at with our communities, especially in this time. This is where I want to make sure our voices are heard and going through where we're at. So partnerships with not only the state's attorney's office, but also with what I believe we want to make sure to go through with all that.
Candidate Rodriguez, if a new state or federal law were passed that you personally believed was unconstitutional, would you enforce it or direct your deputies to not enforce it?
When our lawmakers make this a law, like, yes, well, I will obviously get some clarification through the state's attorney's office, but if the law is on the books, we will enforce it. If it has to do with guns or drugs or anything like that, I will enforce until told otherwise.
Thank you. Candidate Rodriguez, if one of your officers was involved in a fatality, how long would they be required to stay off work? If the officer had also been injured, what would happen then?
If you're asking for a time frame, I can't give you a time frame. Whenever it's appropriate for him to return, he'll return.
Candidate Johnson?
We have proper procedures in place for officer involved, so OID, officer involved deaths, fatalities, and also workman's comp, FMLA, ADA requirements. So again, this is a blanketed what-if situation. So if we have an officer involved death, the state's attorney's office would have to review the entire procedures, policies set in place, and then they would have to go through and then clear that officer, whether a male or female. That could take 2 months, up to 3 months, and so on. There's no blanketed time frame for that, internally and externally. For that, we're also talking about workman's comp, FMLA, ADA. That would also be based on injury in which the doctor would write the note to. So that's kind of the blanketed statement of which one are we talking about for that injury based on different scenarios moving ahead.
Thank you. You can take a deep breath. This is our last question. Okay. Why did you choose to go into law enforcement as a profession? Has your goal changed? And we'll begin with candidate Johnson.
I fell into this, and those who actually would talk with me, I actually fell into this. I was an intern, and I just was trying to graduate Illinois State University, and I had no intention of being a law enforcement entity, and the first day on the job, I absolutely fell in love with it because public service is what I aim to be. I want to help our communities, I want to serve. I actually love engaging with problems, situations within the community, whether we can fix or at least help. This is where I want to engage. I think it would be beneficial for me to say also that at every single step in my career, it has changed who I was and has specifically changed each time I've had my goal. Whether I was an intern, whether I was a deputy, field training officer, detective, supervisor in the Major Crimes Task Force, chief of staff, and now under sheriff, every single time has changed. My goals moving ahead as elected sheriff, hopefully that could go with the vote, pretty much will still remain the same, and I'm still entrusted with what I hold dear, 100%.
Candidate Rodriguez, why did you choose to go into law enforcement as a profession? Have your goals changed?
Wow. I believe it's just in me since I was a little kid. When I was in grade school, I was a crossing guard. Why I became a crossing guard, I don't know. But things were meant to happen. And I think it's always been in me to be in the community, to help the community. And I've been lucky.
Thank you. Well, it's now time for closing statements. You will each have 1 minute for your closing statement. And we'll begin with candidate Rodriguez.
I'm running for Kane County Sheriff because Kane County deserves leadership that is truly from the community, for the community. After nearly 30 years in law enforcement, I've seen what works and what doesn't. Public safety is built on trust, fairness, accountability, and real relationships, not politics or favoritism. Throughout my career, I've served in many roles. I've built youth programs, invested in mentoring, taught at the university level, spent decades working directly with residents across Kane County. I've always believed that law enforcement must be present, approachable, and accountable to people it serves. I'm running because the Sheriff's Office needs a new direction. One focused on transparency, equal accountability, strong community partnership, fiscally responsible leadership. I will improve morale, strengthen corrections, focus on unincorporated Kane County, and ensure the department reflects the diversity and the values of our community. Most importantly, I'm running because this office belongs to the people of Kane County, not a select few. I know the value of hard work. My parents labored in the fields of Texas.
I'm going to ask you to bring your comments to a close, please.
I'm sorry.
Time was up.
Oh,
Thank you. Candidate Jensen.
I believe leadership is earned. I spent my entire career with Kane County Sheriff's Office, starting from the ground level and working my way up to undersheriff. Every role I've helped and prepped for responsibility I have today. And I've earned this position the same way I'll earn your vote. I've led through difficult situations, managed budgets, built strong partnerships, and worked side by side with the men and women that do this job every single day. Because at the end of the day, this work is about protecting victims and keeping people from being harmed. Experience matters with choosing the next Kane County Sheriff. I'm the only candidate who has done nearly every single job in this office and who's leading it right now. I'm running for sheriff because I know this organization, I know this community, and I know what it takes to lead with integrity, accountability, and professionalism without the buzzwords. Kane County deserves a sheriff that's ready on day one, and I am. Thank you, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for having us tonight.
Please join me in thanking the candidates for being with us. And I'm sure they'll make themselves available just in case you didn't get a question submitted.